What if it was possible to have local, fresh groceries delivered right to your door? Think of all the free time you'd have. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Forgot that special ingredient in your favorite dish? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as fast as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area, and save time and money. I've been using Instacart for over 3 years. I started using them in Arizona, and I'm using them here in Florida. I love the time-saving convenience. They pick the freshest products, and they keep my eggs safe too. To receive your first delivery free, follow the link in the show notes so that Instacart knows that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never step foot in a grocery store again. Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there, and welcome to today's show. I'm so excited to have with us Michelle Gauthier. She is a professional life coach who helps busy, overwhelmed women create a more calm and intentional life. Michelle is a single mom of 2 adopted kids and used to be an overwhelmed, busy working mom herself. She quit her successful 20-year corporate career to become a life coach in 2017. Since then, Michelle has been helping hundreds of women around the world to learn to navigate their careers and home lives with ease. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here and talk about so much with you. So tell me, when did you have that pivotal moment that shifted everything for you when you were like, that's it, I've had enough, I'm changing my life?
Yes, I think I was sort of working towards that's it. I don't want to do this anymore, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do instead. So I just kept going on what I was doing. And then one night I was folding laundry and listening to a podcast, and the guest who was being interviewed was a life coach, and she was talking about how she helped her clients change their lives. And I just had this moment where I was like, that's it. That's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I Googled best life coach, and Martha Beck came up. I don't know if you were familiar with her work. Yep. And she came up and she had a training program, and I signed up within 24 hours of hearing that podcast about a life coach and started doing the training right then. And I just went all in. And I don't think I've ever made a decision, that big of a decision, that quickly in my life. I just knew it was the right thing.
That is amazing and so inspiring. And Martha Beck, she's fabulous. I love that, your key was that you were so inspired that you just jumped in and took action immediately. And that's the part that we stumble upon sometimes. What advice do you give to those people who are like on the fence, right? Maybe they're looking at Martha Beck and they're like, oh, the price, oh, this, oh, the time. What advice do you give to them?
Yeah, if it was my client, I would just work through with them. Well, what is causing you to feel that hesitation? Because maybe that's legit for them. Maybe that's not the thing for them to do, but help them recognize that there's just a fine line between feeling scared where you should still take action and then getting the feeling like this is a no for me. So I think it depends on the person. So I would say investigate your reasons why. And if it's just, I'm afraid, for me, I'm always afraid that I won't be successful and that other people will know it. Like that's kind of my backstory of why I didn't do things in the past. And I was able to put that aside because I told myself, this is my thing. This is what I've meant to do. And if I've been this successful in a career that I don't love, if I absolutely love this, surely I can be successful at it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, so inspiring. Now, I read a little bit, diving into you, that you believe that overwhelm is not something that just happens, that we actually choose it.
Yes.
Oh, girl, you've got to explain that and unpack that for me.
Yes. It's not a very popular statement when I say that, but I think a lot of times we have the perception that stress and overwhelm just like happens to us, and overwhelm in particular. I mean, I was a completely overwhelmed working woman. So I say that with empathy and understanding of how we get there, but it's just those little choices that we make day in and day out. Like, for example, not saying no, saying yes all the time, not setting or having clear boundaries, not doing what we can with our schedule and then saying that's all I can do, not practicing mindfulness, all of those things just invite overwhelm to come in. So when I say overwhelm is a choice, it's a choice that we make by taking certain actions every day. And most of the time when people are feeling like that, they're not thinking, what could I do today to feel overwhelmed? They're trying to get out of it, but they're not making the choices to actually get themselves out of it.
Right. Would you say that one of the number one things to really help in that scenario would be learning how to set healthy boundaries?
Absolutely. I think women in particular are so socialized to put ourselves last and to feel like once we've taken care of everyone else, then we can think about what we want to do. And so what that means is I have no boundaries unless they're also convenient to you, which is then no longer a boundary. So yeah, I think if someone knows how to say no and has boundaries that they feel really good about, that they can take a big chunk of overwhelm out of their life almost immediately.
Okay, so I feel like I hear someone out there going, yeah, nice girls. Like, I want to say no, but how do you say no? I've got the kids, I've got the work, I've got the husband, the dog, the cat.
Yeah.
How do you learn that? How do you learn to say no and not feel selfish?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So the way that I explain it is, first, you have to know if you want to say yes or no. So a lot of people who I work with say yes without even investigating if they want to say yes or no. So the first thing to do is really just to pause and think, what do I want to say? And I teach something called the love and fit test. So you ask yourself two questions. One is, do I absolutely love the idea of doing this thing? And the second one is, does this fit into my life? And not does it fit on my calendar? Like, is there an open spot on my calendar where I could do it? But does it fit into the type of life that I'm trying to create? So if I'm trying to create a less stressful life, that's what I need to think. Is this going to add to or remove from my stress? And if you ask yourself those two questions while you're pausing and thinking about it, then you can come to, sometimes it's a definite yes, and sometimes it's a definite no. And if it's kind of that in between where you love the idea, it sounds like something really fun. Like, for example, I really limit the amount of things that I do during the working week at night because I have kids. And so even if it was something that sounded like a lot of fun, if I had already done something a different night, I would say no, because it doesn't fit in with the type of lifestyle that I'm trying to create, which is lots of downtime, lots of time together. So I would just say no to that. So I feel like the real first step is just knowing what you want to say, getting clear on your own answer.
Right, right. And then for the person who goes, how do I even have 5 minutes to get clear on what I want? Right.
Yes.
Because especially like after the last 3 years, and then everybody sort of is pretending like everything is normal and it's so not normal. How do we help that person who's like, can you find that 5 minutes for me, Michelle?
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that we have an automatic reaction in our brain that, I mean, I'm sure you've been in this situation before where you're sitting with someone and they get a text and they pick it up and then they start answering that text. We have this idea that everything needs to be attended to immediately. And I think there are very few situations where we actually have to do that. So what the answer I would give you for that particular thing is, just know that it's okay to say, oh, thank you for the invitation. I'd love to think about it and I'll get back to you. Or read the text or read the email and say, I'm not going to answer this right now because I just need a second to think about this. Mm-hmm. And once you're practiced at it, you can do it in like 30 seconds. It's almost just a gut check to say, is this a yes or is this a no? Okay, it's a no. Me personally, if I'm going to say no, I like to say it as quickly as possible.
Right. I agree with you. Because if not, there's too much that then can start to weed its way back in your head.
Yes, exactly. And if you're thinking about the recipient, I feel like as the receiver of a no, I would like to just know it. Just go ahead and tell me. Nobody likes the long no.
Right. No one likes a long no. I love that. No. That's awesome. Okay. So how can we all stop putting pressure on needing to be perfect? The perfect home, the perfect work, the mom, the wife, the daughter. How do we break out of that stereotype that's been pre-programmed for a gazillion trillion years?
I feel like there's a deep answer to that one. And it's similar to what we're talking about with saying no, where the first thing is to pause and ask yourself, why am I doing this? So for example, as a recovering perfectionist myself, I don't think there was a moment in my life where anyone, like my parents, didn't sit me down and say, no, you have to be perfect or we're not going to love you. But I told myself that somehow I got the message that when I do things well, that people love me. Right. And so when I investigated those beliefs, which I did with the help of a coach, but when I investigated those beliefs, what I realized is I was trying to be perfect so that people would think that I was enough. So I was kind of trying to control the way that they were thinking about me and seeing me as successful. So the antithesis of that is to feel like within yourself, I'm enough. Know when you are enough and worthy, which is you are already. So working on thinking of it that way versus what other people are thinking and that you're trying to prove something rather than just being yourself.
Right. That is excellent advice, which brings us into this. I really wanted to chat with you about imposter syndrome. It's real.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
and
real.
It's very real. And, people out there, they're worried about, do I look successful? I look successful. I look amazing. Look at everything on Instagram, but yet I turn it off, and that person feels like, oh my gosh, like I'm the imposter. Like, is this real? Do I really feel successful? Do I look successful? Like, how do we change that? Because I feel like it's everywhere and it's so debilitating, I find. I don't know about you, but I love to take social media technology breaks. And I've been doing it more and more this last 2 months. I've been guided to do it more and more. And when I have pulled off, literally I've seen like not only my world, but my business and my clients, everything change for the better.
Interesting. And do you think that that's because you're not thinking about what other people are doing, or what do you think it is that makes it so powerful for you to do that?
For me, it's turning off the noise, looking at what everyone else is doing. It's like going in a store and having being overwhelmed, right, with 3,000 choices. And so now it's suddenly like it's a realigning back to self, realigning to what feels good in my heart, not what you think you should be doing, not what people, are out there so-called telling you what you should be doing, but what aligns with you and what feels good.
Yes, exactly. So that's such a great example, because if you feel good about yourself and what you're doing, you don't care what other people think. Their words or their thoughts about you don't feel as valid as your own because you're really in touch with yourself. So I think that's really good. This is another one where almost every woman I work with has some form of imposter syndrome. And if you saw their career and the money that they're making and the impact that they're having, you would never believe it. But I feel like everyone, no matter how successful, has a little dose of that. I mean, some bigger, some smaller. I think a couple of things that are really useful to do if you're feeling that is to allow and notice that you're feeling that way. I like to think about it like, and the same thing when you say no. There are several things that we have to do in life that make us feel uncomfortable, but just because it feels uncomfortable doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. So if you notice that you're feeling like an imposter, what I'll think about is, okay, I'm going to let this imposter syndrome like sit with me here on my shoulder, and it can be here, but it's not going to run the whole show. So there's this little part of me that can't believe that I'm really doing this, or that I'm the person who's advising people on what to do with their lives. And that's okay that I still have that little voice, but that little voice is not in charge. And then it's really helpful to keep an evidence journal of the ways that you're successful. So whatever business, the listener is in, what are the things you're doing? What are the successes that you've had that make I'm really good at this? And just keeping a journal of that so that you can look back on those things too, and really give yourself the facts.
I love this. So let's dive deeper into your journal. Tell me about this journal. This sounds phenomenal. I think everyone needs to be doing this.
Yeah, I just call it an evidence journal, and I use it all the time when I'm working on a new thought or belief. So if the belief, and maybe if you're trying to go to a different income level, or you're switching industries, like when I started studying to become a life coach, and my corporate career had nothing to do with life coaching. I mean, I did a lot of mentoring and things like that, but I had no experience as a life coach. And I had the belief that other people were going to think, why would she leave such a successful career to do this weird thing of life coaching? And so I had started writing down evidence for, even though I have no experience yet, these are the reasons, this is the evidence I have in my life that I will be a good life coach. And I've always been a very good friend. I'm a great listener. I'm a great student, and I've studied really hard in my life coaching. I've had lots of success, so I'm good at business, all those kinds of things. And then as I started coaching people, keeping track of my clients' successes. And so that just keeps reiterating the success over and over and over until believing the thought of, I'm a really great life coach feels totally true.
This is phenomenal. Now, talk to me about the journal. Is this something you do every day, once a week?
I do. Yeah, I do it every morning. I used to do a morning routine that was very long and I liked it, but I found that I would skip it because it was an hour. So sometimes I would just think, I don't have the time to do this. So I came up with a 10-minute morning routine that I do that is just, asking myself a few questions. It's actually on my website. It's a freebie that you can get on my website. It's just a one-page worksheet. So it asks a few questions about what thoughts you're thinking that are causing you, say, to feel imposter syndrome or whatever it is. Asks you to think about gratitude, list out one thing you really like about yourself today, and then any other notes.
That's really good. So talk to me, because you are, you're working now, you're a life coach, you're still a mom.
Yes.
You're still trying to have a life. How are you managing now that you have completely shifted everything? How does that look for you on a day-to-day basis? How are you managing? Are you ready to lose inches, increase strength, and tone your body from head to toe? Are you ready for a total body, mind, and spirit transformation? I am excited to announce that I am launching my exclusive 8-week Pilates Return to Life training program. This will give you an opportunity to have a total body, mind, and spirit transformation of health and wellness to a new lifestyle. Imagine in 7 days you will feel a difference, in 14 days you will see a difference, and in 8 weeks you will have your new Pilates body. So what do you say? Want to join me on the mat? Head over to jenniferpilates.com today. Space is limited. Use this special promo code EW and the word special, EW special, to receive $200 off while space is available. Head on over to jenniferpilates.com and I'll see you on the mat.
Yeah, it's interesting you should ask, because I think when I first started, I just kind of recreated my corporate type job as far as the hours I felt like I needed to work and those kinds of things. But 5 years in now, I feel like I've really created a life that is great for me and my kids and my clients. So I have really strong boundaries around my time and the hours that I work and when I serve my clients and when I do marketing type things, when I spend time with my kids. And I keep those very strict because I have the feedback of how that feels when I do it. I know how it feels when I work all weekend or when after my kids go to bed, come back to my office and it just doesn't feel good. And I always feel drained. So I really keep a tight schedule as far as what I do when.
That's phenomenal. Now that you've gone from working in the corporate to being self-employed, do you feel you are A, working more, or B, working less, or C, somewhere in between?
Way less.
Way less.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, which is really interesting because I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included. Like, I love to work and I really have to be very careful with my schedule because I'll just work all the time because I love what I do.
Same.
Love it, right? And forget. And when I don't have people around that like I need to, give my time to, then it's really, I have to be much more careful about it. So how do you do that? Do you say, okay, I'm going to work 3 days a week and this is what I'm doing, A, B, and C? What's your secret sauce?
Yep, that's exactly what I do. And I know you're a fitness person too, but I also love to work out. And I had to build into my schedule days that I do not work out because what I found is I was too tired or I hurt myself. Like I hurt my shoulder for a while because I was doing too much of it. So it is hard when you love your job not to. And when you're self-employed, I feel like you could work forever. There's always something you could be doing, especially when it feels fun to you. Yeah. So I use time blocking. And I use different colors on my calendar for different activities. And then I look at them at the end. I don't have too many, but for example, pink, my favorite color, as you can see by being on video with me, is things that I'm doing just for myself. So that's like my workouts, meditation, maybe meeting a friend for breakfast, whatever those things are. So I make sure that there's enough of that on there. I have a color for when I see my clients. I have a color for when I do things for my business that aren't client facing. And then I have my kids' activities on there. And so I do that all the time. And on Sundays, I review the whole thing. And then I make a to-do list for the week. And then I see where they fit in so that I don't create a to-do list, because this is something that women who are overwhelmed have a habit of doing. Create a ridiculous to-do list that you could actually never accomplish. And then you feel like crap at the end of the week because you didn't get it all done. So I try to make a really reasonable to-do list so that I'm sure to be able to get everything done.
That sounds phenomenal. Now, are you like me? Are you old school and you love your highlighters and you've got your notebook out? Or are you new school and your beautiful schedule is all up on your computer and colored and perfect?
It's that, which was a very hard transition for me because I love to write, to physically write, which I do when I journal in the morning and stuff. I even tried to do it on my iPad for a while with the pen, and I was like, it's just not the same. I really like the feeling of that. But I use this system called Artful Agenda, which is, it's kind of like a planner, an old school planner, but it's online. And then you can have it feed to like my kids' sports calendars. I can have feed in there in a certain color, and my clients' appointments from my scheduler come in there. So it just brings them all together so I don't have to redo it. I have being efficient is like one of my favorite things, but so is things being like pretty and put together. So it kind of meets both of my criteria.
Okay. So now oh my gosh, I'm the same. So what are your top 3 things that you're like, I can't not have these in my life because they support both my personal life and my professional life? They keep me together. What would those 3 things be?
Yes. Sleep is definitely one of my top priorities. And I take that very seriously. I have this Aura ring. I don't know if you have one of these rings, but it measures your sleep. And so I get a sleep score every day. And it's so funny because I'm a people pleaser by nature. Again, I think most women are. And sometimes I feel like it can serve me because I like to do a good job, but I laugh because I check my score every morning. Like, is my ring going to be proud of the sleep I got last night? I like to get a good score, like an A+ on my sleep. So that's number 1. I really prioritize that. Number 2 is meditation. For me, I meditate. So I work from about, I start working in the morning and then I work until like around 2 or 3 o'clock, depending on what time I see my last client. And then before I switch over to mom mode, where I'm like driving my kids places and making dinner and all of that, I meditate. So that's kind of my commute, my transition between working and being at home with my kids. And then working out. Those are my 3 things that really make me feel absolute best. I could go on and on. Like eating healthy is in there, friendships. There's so many, but you said 3, so that's my top 3.
Right. Top 3, right? Because we don't want to overwhelm everyone.
Exactly.
We don't want to overwhelm.
Stop.
We just want to keep it to like 3 things that maybe you could employ in your day or shift up a little bit.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And I think too, I always try to remember that doing a 5-minute meditation is better than skipping because I didn't have time to do 25 minutes, or doing a 10-minute morning routine is better than skipping because it was going to be an hour. So remember, if you're a person who doesn't work out, but it makes you feel good, going on like a 5-minute walk as soon as you get home. I have a client who said as soon as she gets home, she puts on a podcast and goes and just takes a walk around the block. And then that's kind of her commute time. So even a little bit of some of those will help you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even for me, like, I don't know how you are, but like working from home, the first thing, like in the morning, like I do my own, like you have a meditation, everything that I do. And then it's going for a walk. Like I'm going for a walk because that changes the energy from home to work. So when I come back in, now it's work energy.
Yep. That's exactly, mine's the same. I work out and then I come back. And when I'm back from the workout, that's when we know, okay, now it's time to work.
Right. Now it's time to work. Right. And I try to end the day that way too, if I can, on a perfect world, on a perfect day, then that's really, again, when you're working from home, you've got to figure out the little things that work for you. And maybe it's just taking the garbage out to get out of the house, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but it's the little things that can make the most amazing shifts in our day-to-day world.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's talk to the person who says, okay, y'all, I feel like I have it all, but I'm miserable. I'm not happy. I have a great job. I have great kids. Everything looks great. The house is great, but I'm not happy. What do you say to that person?
Oh, I say, I feel you. I know how that feels. I get it exactly. I feel like that is a problem like it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem that a lot of successful women have because they have been in the striving for so long to get to this thing. And then when they get to that thing, whatever that may be, like, oh, I made partner or, whatever the thing is that they're going for. And then they get there and think, this is how this feels. This is not that great. So I usually will work with women and say, what is it that's missing? So how did you think you were going to feel when you got here? So maybe they've wanted to feel content or accomplished or something like that. And as I'm sure you know, the circumstances of our life are never going to give us those feelings like that. Again, that has to come from within. So I would talk to her about, what is it that you don't like? What is it that you're really going for? And how can you bring that into your life? And some of the simple things that you and I just talked about, a lot of times when women feel that way, it's because they don't have great connection with their friends. Like maybe they used to spend a lot of time with their friends and they've gotten to the point where they're just working all the time or with their family all the time and they're missing that. So I try to help them figure out what's missing in their life and what's taking too much time in their life that they need to miss. What can you cut out?
That's really great. Yeah. What can you need to miss? Or like what could go down to so that you could miss it and start to look forward to it again?
Yeah.
By shifting.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Or just stop. There are lots of things that we do just out of habit that we don't want to do. Like, oh, I've always been a volunteer for this particular group, but it just doesn't really bring me any joy anymore. Okay, you're not serving anybody by doing that, right? Like you're not serving yourself, you're not serving your family, you're not serving the time that you could have where you could be like laying in the bathtub or going for a run or doing something that really fills you up.
Right. And I think, a lot of times people forget, like, we grow. We're not the same person we were yesterday. We certainly aren't the same person we were 4 or 5 years ago. So why you would think that you would still be wearing the same outfit, so to speak? Right?
Absolutely. That is a really good metaphor. It's so true. And you wouldn't really have an issue if you were like, oh yeah, that used to be in and now it's not. It's no big deal. But when it's something like that, like a time commitment or even a relationship, even a friendship that just doesn't serve you anymore, it's okay.
Right. Yeah, totally okay.
Yeah.
Scratch it, move on.
Yes, exactly.
We need to get better about that. Like, not like, oh, what are they going to think? Or, oh, no, it's what you think and what you feel.
Yes, exactly. I will sometimes have my clients make a to don't list. Like, here are the things that you know that you don't do. Like, I don't spend time with people who don't make me feel lit up inside. Life's too short, whatever it is. In my case, I don't do laundry. I outsource that. There's lots of things that I just don't do.
Right. And that's okay too. And I think that's important for people to know. If you don't like cleaning your house, outsource it.
Yeah.
Find a way. If you really, really don't like it, you will find a way to be able to afford to outsource something that you don't like.
Yep, exactly. You saw the question coming there from everybody's minds of, well, that would be nice if I could afford that. Yes.
I saw a commercial the other day. I'm in a temporary situation, so I'm watching commercials. I have learned a lot, and now I understand a lot of our society after watching commercials. And so, but this one commercial that I watched, it was like, and I don't remember the name, so I can't even plug them, but it was like $19 special for the first time, and they're going to come and clean your house. And I thought, who doesn't have $19? That's like somebody's 2 days at Starbucks or something, like.
Exactly what I was going to say. Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. You could easily spend that at Starbucks.
I mean, I don't care if they just come in and do your floors for $19. You still didn't have to do floors that day, right? Like there's so many different ways or, find a girlfriend. Can you trade services? Hey, I'll watch your kids today. Hey, you know what? I love to clean and organize. Let me do your house. Watch my kids. Got to get creative. Yep.
I agree. And I think the hardest part sometimes is admitting A, I can't do it all. And B, I don't like doing this. I don't like cleaning my house. I like when my house looks nice. I like the result, but I don't like doing that thing. Whereas I love, like if I were going to have someone over for dinner, I would love to make the dinner. To me, that even if it's time consuming, that is kind of one of the ways that I would show love. And I would want to have like flowers on the table. And those are all things that really bring me joy to do. So I would not order out or, that me personally, if you would, because you don't really like cooking and you just enjoy spending time with the person, then you do that. So sometimes I feel like we hold ourselves kind of that perfectionist thing. Like, yes, I can have the perfect house and clean up myself and make the great dinner and also have this amazing job where I make tons of money. And it's just, we can't do it all and we shouldn't. We're not made to.
No, we aren't made to do it all at one time.
Right.
That's the key.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key. It's learning balance. And it's so important to learn to put yourself first in all of that.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And you can have all those desires and things you want to do and choose which ones you want to do now. And then you can put others on the shelf and you can pick them up again later.
Right. Oh my goodness. This has been so amazing, Michelle. So we are getting to this time in the show where I ask this one question. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, girl. What is one thing that no one knows about Michelle?
I even knew this question was coming and I'm still not sure what to say. You know what I'll say, because I sort of alluded to it at the beginning when we were talking about imposter syndrome. I would bet nobody knows that sometimes I still feel like an imposter.
That's huge. I'm so proud of you for sharing that. Thank you. No, that's huge. And it's important to hear, right? It's so important to hear.
Super vulnerable. Yes, exactly. Because I think people who know me would think, oh my gosh, no, she definitely doesn't. She seems like she knows just what she's doing. And there are times where I still feel like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for feeling comfortable enough to be that vulnerable with us. Michelle, will you share where our amazing community can go to your website and connect and continue the conversation with you?
Yes. So my website is michellegauthier.com. And I have a podcast called Overwhelmed Working Woman. So if you're an overwhelmed working woman and you're looking for tips on how to feel more calm, some of the stuff like we're talking about here, that'd be a great place to follow me too.
Awesome. Thank you. And as always, all of Michelle's information will be over in the show notes on jenniferpilates.com. As we close the show today, Michelle, what is one last piece of inspiration that you would like to leave with us?
I would just like to say that no matter how you feel today, it is entirely possible for you to change your life and to have, sometimes I want to pinch myself because I'm living this dream life. And I've seen lots of my clients do that too. And I don't mean dream in terms of it's perfect and nothing ever goes wrong. It does. I just know how to manage it now. I get to choose how many hours I work. I get to choose how much time I spend with the people I love. And it's not because I'm special. Anyone can have that.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And to just take that last piece of inspiration and replay that, if you do nothing else, replay that in your morning walks, in your evening walks, to remind yourself how special you are.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for being here and just bringing your beautiful, pink, wonderful energy. I love it. We're two pink sisters. Everything on the video right now is we're so pink. It's wonderful.
Yes,
I love
it's basically all pink.
It's all pink.
Time. You can't see my desk, but it's also pink.
Oh my gosh. So love that. I adore that. Thank you so much, Michelle. Seriously, though, for sharing your incredible energies and your light with us today and being as vulnerable as you have.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, as we say, everyone, until next time, may you live an empowered life from within. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within.